G'day and welcome to the Law and Order podcast, a show about why games matter and how they shape our lives. I'm James Padley, and as always, I'm joined with my co-host, Amrit Eldridge.
Good to be here.
How you doing?
Feeling particularly virtuous today, James.
Oh, well, that is very fortunate because today's episode is Paragons v Renegades. Similar to yourself, I prefer to look at myself more on the virtuous end of the spectrum. I like the idea of being a badass rogue, don't get me wrong, and making evil choices here and there, being a little bit edgy, being a little bit mean. But whenever that option arises, I find that I just fail miserably.
Yeah, it's good to be good. That's what I like to think anyway.
That's what I like to think as well.
I'm not always good though.
What's that?
I'm not always good.
No one's always good.
I think a lot of my friends probably say I'm not good.
I don't know about that. I think you're pretty good. I just don't think it's possible to maintain permanently in real life. But when it comes to video games, I just can't do it. I can't make the mean choice. I was thinking about this the other day, going back to some of the old games like Fallout 3.
Yeah.
One of the very early decisions that you have, it's like the first town that you rock up to, Megaton or Megaton. Basically, you have to make a decision as to whether or not you detonate a bomb that's stuck in the center of town and just wipe out every single person in that town.
Yep.
And if you do it, you get like this fancy high-rise apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do it. You do like little quests around. You meet all the people in the town. Could never bring myself to do it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big one. That's a pretty diabolically evil decision.
That is a big one. With today's property market, a high-rise apartment.
It's very tempting.
Would it be different now?
Cost of living in the wasteland. But for me, I couldn't even bring myself to throw the penguin off the edge in Super Mario 64.
Wait, Super Mario 64? You're throwing penguins off edges?
In one of the very early levels.
What did I miss in Super Mario?
Right? It's like Mario's gone full rogue. But like they obviously couldn't code out certain parts of the level. So this ice level, you'd kind of go down slopes and you would like slide down on your bum, like you're kind of tobogganing sort of thing. And this mother penguin gives you a quest to find her baby and return her baby penguin.
Yep.
And so you pick up the penguin, you carry it around, but you can throw it.
Right.
And a lot of people back in the day when we were kids would test the boundaries, as we talked about in the previous episode. What can I get away with? What can I do? And you would throw the penguin off the cliff and it would disappear into the abyss. And I'm pretty sure it would respawn, and you would have to go back and find it again.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it.
Yeah. It's okay, Mum. I swear that the dog's going to come back. It's going to respawn. That's not how it works.
I was just testing the boundaries of what was possible. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, even something as small as that was a bridge too far.
It's a very cute penguin as well, I should say. It's like this beautiful blue penguin with the classic white tummy. Super cute. Super cute. You would have seen them. They use them in some of the like later Mario Kart games.
Yeah.
What about yourself? Do you find it easy to make morally grey or evil decisions in games?
Very similar to you, I think. We're on the same page where I think we struggle, and definitely I do. So similar in terms of some of the bigger examples of that. Dishonored was a game which I actually never finished, and it was to do with this idea of being good versus being evil. I basically tried to play the whole game without killing anyone. A lot of stealth, a lot of kind of you can choose to do non-lethal takedowns. And I was thinking, I'm going to go through the whole game and I'm going to do this. I did know that it would also, it could affect the game world. And so there are genuine benefits of having essentially a bloodless playthrough. I would have got about halfway through the game and then I just accidentally hit the wrong button and essentially broke a guy's neck instead of sending him to sleep. And I just remember when that happened, I was just like, I was devastated.
Yeah.
I was devastated. I was like, I can't believe what I've done. I put the game down. I paused and I was like, I'm gonna save. I'm gonna come back. I never came back.
Yeah,
literally never came back.
Just ruined it for you.
Yeah.
Would it have been possible to reload an earlier save, or would it have taken you back way too far?
That's the thing. Definitely would have been very possible. It was just as soon as I was like, I'm evil in this game now. I just couldn't. I just didn't go back to it.
Yeah.
So one day I will have to go back to it because Dishonored, fantastic franchise. By all reports, and I did love it. But even the small things. Now, PS1 was my foundation. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, classic game. Probably not one you had the pleasure of playing.
No, I love Tony Hawk Pro Skaters.
Yeah.
I have very fond memories of going around to a mate's place for sleepovers and playing some of the Tony Hawks.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. I never picked you as a skater boy.
I certainly wasn't. I said, see you later, boy, to skating in real life. I tried it once, stacked it, and called it quits immediately. But yeah, I enjoyed, the soundtrack in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games is unbelievable.
So good.
And it was one of those games that worked really well in like co-op with a friend, like passing the controls, like do a run, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, Tony Hawk wouldn't usually be something you associate with being good and evil, Paragons and Renegades. I remember one little mini quest in the Venice Beach setting, that level. You had to ollie the magic bum 5 times. Now, I don't know about you, James, but taking my skateboard and jumping over a homeless man, trying to enjoy his time by the beach. He's probably already got a very hard life.
Yeah.
And he's carved out this nice little spot for himself by Venice Beach.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I having to ollie over this guy? And I just remember thinking, I was playing with my brother, and I was like, I don't want to ollie over this homeless man, but I sort of had to do it. Had to do it to complete the level.
Yeah.
And I just remember even something as simple as like, oh, this should be just fun and stupid. I'm like, that just seems like a horrible thing to do.
This poor bum.
Yeah.
He's just trying to make ends meet, man.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, just even that little thing like that for me was like, doesn't sit right with me.
Which is really funny because they obviously put that in the game to be like, look at us, we're edgy skaters in like so the late 90s, early 2000s. And like a lot of kids would be like, oh, that's so funny. Like jump over the bum, man. But yeah, that obviously made a big impression on young Amrit.
Yeah, it did.
Which begs the question then, I suppose, why is it so hard for us to be mean to people who don't exist?
Mm.
And so what I guess we should look at first and foremost is what is the system? What is it supposed to be when we're given these decisions in games?
Yep.
And I suppose to begin with, it is the idea that we are given a moral choice.
Yes.
And we are able to impact the narrative of this game.
Yes.
Our choices matter. Whether we are kind to someone, whether we let that character live or die, this could have big implications on the storyline of this game.
Yes.
And the ending of this game. It's also, I think, an element of role-playing fantasy. It's like especially if you have a character that you can fully customize the way that they look, you make them look just like you or like your favorite actor or character from a book or something like that. It definitely gives you that kind of role-playing power fantasy. And so as a result, you then get to make those decisions. Do I want to be good? Do I want to be bad? What do you think games promise you when they give you the option to make an evil decision?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because when we're talking about narrative and we're talking about your choices mattering, it's interesting those 2 small examples we gave from Mario and from Tony Hawk is that they're not really tying into a major quest. It's almost just doing something bad for the sake of being bad.
Totally.
But when we have these games that sort of promise us, oh, hey, you can make the choice to be evil. You can be the renegade here, or you can be the paragon, right? I think what that promises to us is that essentially, if I choose the good side, okay, what I choose there is I choose a path that's opposite. I choose a path that's different. And I choose a path that I picked out for myself that, I can really make an impact on this game. I can drive my playthrough. And I can also imagine what the negatives would be. So it's that choice. It was that choice of making something positive, but then also knowing what the negatives are as opposed to just doing something that doesn't really tie in with anything else.
Totally. And I think replayability obviously has a huge part of that as well. That freedom to do things that you wouldn't do in real life. And you can go, okay, well, I probably wouldn't choose. This is what I would do in real life. I'm going to try and do this instead.
Yep.
Or what if I do this and it opens up a ton of different branching pathways? What I think is problematic about that and why I think it often fails is there's an element of mechanical punishment to it in that quests get locked out.
Yes.
Like there are certain games where it's like, you can, if you want, kill this character who's given you this quest.
Yep.
You will no longer be able to complete the quest. In fact, a whole bunch of different quests that were connected to this quest, you will now no longer have any access to. And so I think for me, when you are given that option to be evil, while it may be really tempting because it's like, yeah, we can't do this stuff in real life. It's morally wrong, but I want to see what I can get away with. I do find that you are usually punished behind locked quests. There was an article that I read recently. It was published back in like 2021, I think, by Wired. We'll post the article in the show notes at the end of the episode. It was written by Simon Hill and Megan Starks, who was a senior narrative designer at Obsidian Entertainment, who made Outer Worlds, Fallout New Vegas, among many others. She was saying that 97% of players preferred to align with the morally right decision. 97 with the Paragon choice.
There you go.
And so what that says to me as a game developer is that if 97% of people are making the morally right choice or the Paragon option, why flesh out the evil option?
Yes.
You know, it's there. You can choose it, but most people aren't going to. So why flesh out, okay, if you do that, then that's going to open up this quest. It's going to open up this. Why create a whole bunch of quests
so much
that 3% of players are going to see?
Yep.
And that is where I think a lot of these evil playthroughs fail, because most of them just aren't as rich or deep as the morally correct pathway.
Well, it's interesting then, because then if we're saying that 97% of people are going to be choosing the good pathway and that's more fleshed out, then is the benefit of even including that evil pathway in there, is that enough? Because so many games are still doing it and developers have done their research and they're putting that in there. So why do we think that is? Why do we think they're still saying we need to have this evil pathway there? We need to have that choice that players can make where they can choose, all right, maybe I won't be good here, even though 97% of the time they are choosing that. Why is that so important?
I think it's important to give the player options, or at least not necessarily the freedom of choice, but the illusion of the freedom of choice. So yes, 97% of players are probably going to choose to do the right thing, but you want them to feel like that was their choice. Like if you were forced to do the right thing and you had no option, you'd be like, well, that kind of sucks a bit. Like obviously you're probably going to choose that anyway, but it's nice to have the opportunity there to be like, could I do the right thing, but do it in a slightly different way? Like, you know, I'm a little bit edgier. I am a bit of a rogue. You know, I'm going to give you a bit of sass while I do the right thing. Or even if you never choose the bad option, at least having it there gives you the illusion of choice. So that when you do choose to do the right thing, you feel good about yourself. You feel like, hey, I'm a hero, as opposed to, oh, I'm just playing through essentially an interactive movie. Yeah,
it's such a good point. It's that agency, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And you know, why do we love playing games as opposed to, you know, why don't we just watch movies? For an example of that, it's because we're actively choosing in that moment. We're not just sitting there watching someone being a good person. Like we're watching someone be a good person in that game because we've put them on the path to do that, which is really, really cool, isn't it? And it's like such a great example of you sort of think, if you're doing something good in your life, right? If I'm thinking, I want to do something really nice for James today, all right? If I do something nice, I know how that's going to make him feel, but I also know how he would feel if I did the opposite, if I did something mean. So that choice to do something good is actually a conscious choice to not do something bad. And so that's what you're sort of saying these games are offering by having these evil pathways.
I think so, yes. But of course, as we said before, it obviously then locks you out if you do decide to take that evil pathway.
Yes.
Which is frustrating for those people who do want to, that 3% of players, at least within Obsidian games, that want to make that choice. And you do see it with a lot of other games as well. You have worse endings, fewer allies in some instances. Mass Effect is probably my favorite gaming trilogy of all time. Came out at a very kind of definitive time, I guess, of my adolescence or whatever. And I just thought it was a revolutionary series of games. In Mass Effect 1 and 2, there are particular decisions that you can make, which will basically mean that one of your allies will die. And if you play that Renegade option, especially in the first game, it is very difficult to keep one of the best characters in the entire game alive. And because your decisions carry over from each game, that's 3 games where you no longer have access to this character. Admittedly, they're not a playable character in your team in the second game, but they have a impactful storyline. And
consequences.
So, what was that, sorry?
Consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's great that there are consequences to your actions, but it is much more difficult if you wanted to be like, well, I want to be the badass rogue. I want to be a bit edgy. Still save the galaxy, sure. But do it in a kind of, Han Solo, sort of way. And I think having that playthrough style where you play as that renegade does limit you in a way. And finally, I think another thing that we get punished for making bad decisions or the morally evil whatever decision is a sense of narrative dissonance. And what I mean by that is take Arthur Morgan in Red Dead Redemption 2. If you go around just robbing trains, shooting everyone, like obviously, yes, you are a criminal. Yep. You're in a gang. You do bad things. And throughout the game, you still do bad things and make morally great decisions. But if you then take it even further outside of the core story missions, and it's like, yeah, I'm just going to shoot a bunch of people. I'm going to tie this person up, put them on the train tracks, wait for a train to come and run them over. You're essentially being cruel while the story insists that Arthur is seeking redemption.
Yeah, it doesn't match up.
Like the whole game, like it's called Red Dead Redemption. And the whole thing is about Arthur realizing that maybe the gang isn't on the right path.
Yeah.
Maybe the plan isn't the correct way to go.
Yes.
And I think that is where that narrative dissonance kicks in. Another example of a recent game, Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, of course.
Really fun. I enjoyed it.
I know what you're going to say.
The unforgivable
curses.
You have the option. And I think they had so much potential here to really flesh this side of things out.
Yes.
Like you are trying to save the wizarding world from, this cataclysmic kind of event and evil dude and whatever. But you have the ability to learn the unforgivable curses all throughout the game through one of, I would say, probably the most interesting side character.
Yep.
And you watch his kind of descent into villainy.
Yep.
And you have the option to go down that path with him, learn the unforgivable curses, or you decide, I don't want to. He'll learn them instead, and you kind of watch him deteriorate. After that, though, there are no negative consequences to you learning the unforgivable curses.
Which is crazy. Crazy.
All throughout the Harry Potter books, you're told that you have to have like evil in your heart if you do that.
Yep.
If you do the killing curse, Avada Kedavra, you got to mean it.
Yep.
Whereas you're just going around Hogwarts, like you can literally walk around the castle and be like, Avada Kedavra this, Avada Kedavra. Like you're killing all these people willy-nilly. There's no consequences for it.
Yep.
You can essentially become the most evil wizard of your time, like killing more people than Voldemort ever did.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, make sure you're back in time for your divination class. And it really breaks that narrative.
Harry, where are you off to? Oh, just off to go cast a Cruciatus curse on Neville again. Oh, very good.
No worries.
See you in Charms.
Yeah. 10 points to Gryffindor. It makes absolutely no sense in that scenario.
Yeah.
And I think they could have made it work.
Yes.
Like if your character slipped down that path of villainy, maybe more quests opened up around that.
Yeah.
Maybe you could become, the Death Eaters didn't exist in this timeline because I think it's set hundreds of years before Harry and the gang.
Well, sounds like there's a good gateway for the Death Eaters. Start in level 1 Charms class.
That's it.
Yeah, just kill a few students.
And make a friend with a Slytherin and away you go. But yeah, for me, I think they really could have made it like your character like visually changes. Maybe you become wanted in certain areas, but there's literally no negative side effect to you learning those unforgivable curses.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you want to get every spell in the game, why not just do that?
Yep.
Like the only thing stopping you is your moral compass of going, oh no, they're called unforgivable curses for a reason. I won't do it. But it's like, you're not going to get any, like there's literally no negative consequence.
Yep. And that's the thing. It's really interesting is that we're talking about sort of game systems that are almost too reliant on the player having a moral compass, whereas game systems need to do more than that. Okay. So this is interesting because we've been talking about some games that maybe don't do it so well. And I think what we're saying is that it's hard to get right. It's a very hard thing to get right, which is why we don't necessarily identify it, why the majority of gamers don't really go down that evil pathway. But like, what are some games for you that have potentially done it well? They've managed to think like, okay, I've got a system where we can have Paragons and we can have Renegades, or that sort of moral kind of system is nicely fleshed out. So it's well designed and allows you to sort of really kind of fit in with that game landscape?
Yeah, I think when you talk about morally grey, the one that immediately jumps to mind is The Witcher, particularly The Witcher 3. Now, this is one of our favourite games of all time.
Yeah, so good.
Amrith introduced me to the world of The Witcher back on the Xbox 360 days when we would be knocking back Captain Morgan's and Pepsi Max.
So much Pepsi Max.
All-nighters. We played through, not Assassin's Creed, sorry. We played through Witcher 2. And then when Witcher 3 came out, we did a full playthrough of that as well. We've since done an additional playthrough of The Witcher 3 when the PS5 update came out.
And I'm sure we might come back and do another one.
Most likely. Yeah. Especially if that rumored DLC that they're talking about coming out before Witcher 4. Yeah. I mean, look out.
Yeah, I mean, if we have to. We have to.
Really twisting my arm here. I think that is a perfect example of a world where the decisions that you make are very morally grey.
Yes.
There's often not a right choice.
Yep.
It's like, if you make this decision, these people are going to be happy, but these people are going to suffer, and vice versa. You will generally walk away from a quest feeling like you've done the right thing, but it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth having done so.
Yeah. You actually really feel it, don't you? And that's the difference, I think, with the when you compare it to Hogwarts Legacy. It's like whatever. I mean, like Neville cops the Imperious Curse again at lunchtime. I don't really feel that bad because the game doesn't really do anything to make me feel that bad.
Totally.
Whereas when you come to The Witcher, it's like you say, you have a quest and there's not necessarily a right answer. You know, whatever you choose probably doesn't have the best outcome potentially. But when you are in that position, you see it. You kind of see the consequence. You see what happens, and you begin to feel that I made that choice, and I'm seeing what I've done by it. And does that sit well with me? Does that not? That makes you feel, okay, next time I come across a decision, maybe I'll think a little bit more about it. You know, maybe I will do something differently here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then even if you feel like you are doing something differently the next time, it gives you that gut punch again, potentially.
Yeah.
And I think what that does is, because the decisions are morally grey, it adds to the richness of that world.
Yes.
And it makes it seem much more real and much more realistic.
Yes.
Because even if you do your best to do the right thing, it may not always be the right thing for other people.
Yep. And
you still feel like, despite making that decision, that you are a good person.
Why though? Let's say I'm playing The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Right. I'm Geralt. Okay. I've made a decision. Like a good quest that sticks out is early on. I remember in the game there's a quest. It's like quite early in the game. There's a dwarf whose forge gets set on fire. You find out it's just some racist bloke down the road who's essentially his neighbor, who's got drunk. He set it on fire. You can choose, do I let this guy go, or do I take him back to the dwarf and say, I found the guy who set your forge on fire? Letting him go doesn't feel like the right thing to do.
No.
Because you're like, well, this guy's a bit of a racist asshole, so we're going to say, hey, he's the one who did it. So when we played, we took him back to the forge. We say to the blacksmith, here's the guy who lit your forge on fire. He's not happy. He tells the occupying Nilfgaardians about it. The Nilfgaardians come and they say, like, all right, we're going to hang you. And then there's that feeling like, oh, I didn't think he was going to get hung. And so we're sitting there and we're feeling like, oh, geez, that's not ideal. Maybe I didn't look like I wanted that guy to be brought to justice, but I didn't want him to die.
Maybe go to prison.
Yeah.
Pay to rebuild the forge.
Yeah.
But then it's like, no, we're just going to execute him.
Yeah. And you're like, oh. So there's that feeling, but at the same time, I remember when we played that, I didn't feel like the renegade there, even after that outcome. I still feel, but so like, why? How does the game do such a good job at making us still feel like a bit of a paragon?
Well, because I think in that scenario, you did the morally right thing. Like, the right thing to do was find the person that did this evil thing, this racist thing, destroyed someone's livelihood. And you've gone, yeah, this is them. I'm bringing them into justice. But then they obviously go, okay, well, our version of justice is this.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I did the right thing, but I don't like the result.
Yeah.
And I think that is where it creates a really rich, morally grey world where you're like, I am still a hero.
Yes.
I'm still a paragon.
Yeah.
But this world is cruel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really cool, isn't it? Like your character still feels like the hero. And that, do heroes always get everything right? Not necessarily. But in this situation, you still feel like, with my character, I have that motivation. It's Geralt. He's smart. He thinks. He does the right thing. He saves people all the time.
Mm.
And in this case, it's essentially, I've got to save one person here, so to speak. You know, this dwarf's life's entirely destroyed. He doesn't get justice, or this person does.
It's a great example. For a second, I thought when you said early part of the game, you were going to talk about the quest where you have to go and find the old woman's frying pan.
Oh, but there's no moral grey there.
No,
you help the old woman find her frying pan.
That's it.
Yeah. Talk about being a hero,
right? Forget finding your like stepdaughter that's like lost through space and time. It's like, man, this woman's got to cook tonight.
Yeah, we just spent all this time bigging up Geralt as a hero. Is he really a hero? Geralt, what about saving your adopted daughter from certain death? Never mind. Got to find a frying pan.
We've got some cooking issues here.
Is he really a good guy?
To that old lady, yes, he is. I think going back to your original question, though, about are there games that work well? Obviously, Witcher 3 in terms of a morally grey system.
Yes.
In terms of doing a full-on evil playthrough,
yep.
The only game that really jumps to mind is Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Which won Game of the Year 2024. What year did Baldur's Gate come out? Man, time. What even is time anymore? I think it was 2024.
Yeah.
Yes, because last year it was Expedition 33.
Yep.
Yes, cool. So 2024.
Smashed it.
Yeah. Amazing.
Such a good game.
Or was it 2023?
It might have been 2023.
Far out. I think it was 2023.
Yeah.
Dude.
I think that's a testament to how good the game is that, you know, we can literally still pick it up and play it right now. And it feels like it came out yesterday.
And people are.
Yeah. Incredible.
Like the amount of people that are just doing so many different playthroughs. And I think one thing that makes Baldur's Gate 3 work really well is you can create your TAV or your custom character. And as a result of that, you can feel a little bit more comfortable making an evil choice, I think, because everything is it's so rich in terms of customization.
Yeah.
But then you've also got the Dark Urge playthrough.
Yeah.
So for those who haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 or aren't big into Dungeons and Dragons,
you should play Baldur's Gate 3.
You really should. It's an incredible game. Both of us obviously play D&D in the real world, so there's that added level of appreciation. But even if you don't, it's such a good game. But you can either create a completely customizable character who will fit in with the world, or you can choose to play as one of your companions as the main character, or you can play as the Dark Urge.
Yeah, here we are.
Is a dragonborn whose lore and history is kind of deeply rooted in the previous Baldur's Gate games, of which I personally hadn't played. But that character is like a bit psychotic. They've got an urge to do really evil things, and you can either play it as, I'm going to try and resist those dark urges. And because it's D&D, you've got to roll, and sometimes you'll succeed and other times you will fail, black out, and have like massacred some, like a village or something.
Yeah.
Or you fully embrace the dark urge and you go, I've got this urge to kill these people. I'm going to go and do it.
Yeah, it's a bit like me every full moon. I sort of roll the dice, and then sometimes when the dice lands, I stand and watch a film, and then sometimes I just go out killing.
That's it. Yeah. Pull the curtains tight. That's why I never see you on full moon nights. There you go. I'll make sure I lock the doors just in case you're coming to places that you know, sniffing around, being like...
Yeah, if I knock at your door on full moon and say I'm here to play games, you keep the door closed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know what I rolled that night.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to know. But I think the reason that Baldur's Gate 3 works is because the evil path feels intentional.
Yep.
Like they have created that option and all of the quests and the storylines. So much so that a lot of people online believe that is the canon storyline.
Yeah, that's almost the true narrative.
And the characters and your companions react believably.
Yeah.
Because not every character that you recruit during that game is inherently evil.
Yeah.
Some of them, like Astarion, are very morally grey. I would say Veer's on the evil side. But there are also other people who aren't, like Karlach and Will and stuff like that. And so if you make these outlandishly evil decisions, a lot of companions will react. Some of them will leave your party. But with that being said, you have the opportunity to recruit other people who are more evil.
Yep.
For example, my first playthrough with my TAV, my customizable character, I saved the grove and all the tieflings in the grove where all the druids are, and I stopped the goblins and Minthara, who's this dark elf. She dead in my playthrough.
She did.
However, if you do an evil playthrough, you can be like, oh, yeah, mate, let's team up. We'll just wipe out the grove and away we go.
Yep.
You might have companions that don't like the decision that you've made and leave, but hey, you now have her, and she is a baddie in both senses of the word. So I think in that regard, it is a much more believable storyline.
Yeah.
But I haven't played the Dark Urge.
Yeah, it's interesting that even though you've got this game that's so beautifully fleshed out, and that's where it succeeds as this example of you don't need to be the Paragon. You can be a Renegade, and this works well because there's so much. There's so much new content. You feel like it's almost a new game, that replayability element. And all your choices matter, but you can see so many different things you've never seen before. But even despite that, even despite you knowing that you've got this fantastic game, one of your favorite games, you could go back and play and it's almost like an entirely new game, but it's rooted in that world that you love. There's nothing that doesn't sound good about this. For me, that sounds like it's a no-brainer. You pick it up and you play again, but you would still struggle to play that character. Why?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think first and foremost, video games as a whole often reflect and reinforce our own values. So many games, especially before video games were made that gave us moral choices. You look back at some of these early games like Zelda and stuff like that. Let's go back even further, like arcade games like Space Invaders.
Yeah.
Kill the invaders.
Stop the invaders.
If you don't, we're dead.
Yep.
The end.
Yep. What's the right thing to do?
That's it.
Stop the invaders.
Stop the invasion. Donkey Kong, you got to save Pauline from Donkey Kong as Mario. All those initial games that you played as a kid in the 80s and early 90s generally had you predominantly as a hero.
Yes.
Saving the day, saving the world, reinforcing the values that in society we are told are good. Be a good person, be an upstanding person, help your neighbor, whatever. That I think is the core reason. For me as well, I attach sentimental value to everything.
Yep.
And I have insane amounts of empathy for fictional characters.
Yeah, right.
Like little things like, man, I was a kid who like collected rocks and stuff. I'd be like, that's like a real smooth rock. These are non-sentient beings.
You're just sitting there. Oh, sweet rock.
So smooth.
Tell me how you feel. James, I moved your rocks. No!
Elmo would not be a fan of me. You know, have you heard about his rivalry with Rocco, the Zoe's pet rock? Yeah, he would just be giving me side eye if he ever came around to my childhood home.
You're just a sweet boy, and you still are.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Yeah. But yeah, I form sentimental attachments to everything, and I just can't bring myself to make a mean decision.
Yeah,
even if it may have a really narratively rich outcome.
Yeah. How does it make you feel in the game world where you've made a decision that doesn't quite sit right with you? Is it the same as what you feel in the real world? Is it different?
Yeah, I'm not sure actually. I think part of it is similar, right? Like if we go back to that example we were talking about with The Witcher where you make those morally grey decisions, in that scenario where that guy gets hung for you turning him in, you know you did the right thing, but you feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that is a sign of really great art.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, art is designed to make you feel things.
Yes.
And I think we are living in a time now where everyone wants to be entertained.
Yes.
Everyone wants to be made to laugh or, horror films to made to jump scares, whatever.
Yep.
You want that quick hit of dopamine and stuff like that. But sometimes movies are made and they are really good movies, but people hate them or can only watch them once because of how uncomfortable the film made them feel.
It's too much.
And I don't think that's necessarily the sign of a bad film.
No.
I think if that was the director's decision to make you feel that way, then they've accomplished their goal and they've made an incredible piece of art.
Yeah.
I think the same thing applies when it comes to video games. Yes, you could make that decision and it may sit really uncomfortably with you. A great example that I think of is in The Last of Us 2. Ellie is on a mission to hunt down all the people that are responsible for killing someone who's very close to her. and she tracks someone down. They fall down into this infected area where they're breathing in spores. This woman's going to die soon anyway, but you need to get information out of her.
Yeah.
And instead of it going into a cutscene where you torture them to interrogate them, the little circle prompt appears. You're holding a pipe and you're like, oh, no, please don't make me do this. And you hit the prompt.
I remember this so vividly.
You hit the prompt and you smack them, and then that little circle prompt appears again. And you're like,
oh, no.
And it's in that moment you go,
please, just talk.
And then you do it, and then it appears again for a third time. And in that moment, it's gut-wrenching because Ellie is our hero.
Yes.
We've played with Ellie from the first game the whole way through. We have a very deep emotional connection to Ellie. But in this scenario, we can see how far her grief has taken her and how far she's willing to go for revenge. And even though we consider her a good person and we consider her quest morally just-ish within this universe, within this cruel world that she lives in.
But it's still our quest, and we're still there for it.
I felt so deeply uncomfortable in that moment. And to me, that is incredible game design and incredible art direction.
Yes.
Because we love Ellie, but in that moment, we know that what she's doing is really wrong.
Yep.
And that uncomfortability stays with us.
Yeah.
Similar to the ending of The Last of Us 1 as well. You know that what you're doing in that hospital is wrong.
Yep.
But you do it anyway.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Like such beautiful examples of that storytelling and where you're really feeling what the character's feeling. And I think that's just a magnificent way to do it. But it's interesting because that's almost where it's like you're set in this and like you don't necessarily have that choice there. Right. So, but it's interesting that when we do have that choice, it's maybe more of a struggle. But I think what I really want to touch on now, this brings me to a really interesting point. And like where we're sitting here thinking like, oh, it's like reflecting our values. You know, if it's, you know, I'm a good person or doing good things makes me feel good. That's why I do them in games. But like, what if I was to tell you the opposite? What if I was to tell you that being a hero and being the Paragon in a game can actually make you more of a hero in real life? Yeah. Yeah.
Is this something that you've read about?
Yeah. So there's some super fun research around this. It's been going around for a while. From Student to Hero, I think is one of my favorite research title articles. But I'm actually going to run through an exercise with you now, just for a bit of fun. So bear with me. If you're playing along at home, do this as well. You know, while you're walking your dog or driving to work or, you know, vacuuming or, you know, you're sort of listening in the background. But now you can listen in fully.
If it involves closing your eyes, maybe not while you're driving to work?
Definitely not. Definitely. You don't need to close your eyes.
Okay. You don't need to close your eyes?
No, don't close your eyes.
Beautiful.
But essentially, I'm just going to ask you, what is a hero to you? What does a Paragon mean for you? If you were a Paragon, if you were a hero, what are your values? What are your qualities? What are you doing? What do you think, James?
Okay. I wasn't sure if we were just going to let the listeners just a little bit of radio silence as they kind of mull that over. I think for me, when you think about it, you think about like old school comic book heroes like Superman and stuff. They stand for truth. They stand for justice.
Yep.
Doing the right thing.
Yep.
Even if it's hard, you know, speaking up for people who are less fortunate than you.
Yep.
Helping people, even if it's just a friend or a family member with something small.
Yeah.
Saying something kind, because it's so easy to be kind. Like I feel like a lot of the time you have to go out of your way to be a dick.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to just be nice to
be
people.
Nice.
And that doesn't mean that you have to be a pushover or that you have to like avoid conflict at all costs. But it's about speaking up for yourself when you know you should. You stand up for what's right. And I think be honest, be open with people. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Like when I think about a hero, they're the values that I think of first.
Yeah. Amazing. I'm going to do this as well because I'll explain why I'm going to do this after. But very similar to you, I think very similar qualities. I think kindness is key. Just be kind, you know, talk, listen to people, help people. You know, if someone needs you, you can be there for them.
Totally.
Okay. You're also modeling good virtue. Again, you're being honest, right? You're being righteous, right? You're not being mean. You're not being horrible. You're looking after yourself. You're looking after other people. So for me, that's That's what a hero is.
Nice.
So what if I was to tell you that just by doing that, you're literally more likely to be a hero in the coming days?
Yeah.
In real life. Yeah. Just by thinking about what are the qualities of a true paragon makes you more likely to actually model those behaviors.
That's really cool.
Super cool, right? It's just, and it makes sense. It just makes sense. If you think it's basically the more you think about things, the more you think about who you are, the more you do certain things, you start to repeat those behaviors. We model patterns of behavior that we like to see. You know, if there's someone you admire, there's someone you love, you end up being a little bit like them. You know, like you and I are very alike because we spend so much time together. We sort of model each other. We match each other. And that's to do with sort of priming, sort of that psychological idea of priming. You sort of think certain things and you really get in that mindset, then you're more likely to act like that. So one, really cool life hack. You want to be more like a hero, just think like a hero. Think what it is to be a hero. But for me, that explains in so many ways why I think you find it so hard to play that renegade. Because those qualities that you just spoke about, they're very much your own value system. So when you can come to a game, you can essentially, you model those same qualities in the game. It's matching what you do in real life, but your real life at the same time is also matching what you do in those games.
Yeah.
Cool,
that's
right?
Really cool. That's really cool. And I think we'll post a link to that study because I'd be interested to read it as well. We'll post a link in the show notes at the end.
100%.
So that if anyone's interested in reading a little bit more about that, they can. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it says a lot about who we are as people if that's the decision that you want to make. And that's not to say that people who make the renegade decisions or make the evil choices are inherently bad or evil people. Because as
you are all horrible people, you need to go home and rethink your lives.
Just alienate a huge portion of the audience. It's like, you're trash, get out. No, you... there are so many reasons why people choose the renegade option. And we discussed some of them earlier, a large part of it just being you can do things that you wouldn't do in real life.
It's fun.
You are a really morally just and heroic person in your day-to-day, but you hit a point where you're like, yeah, man, I just want to see what boundaries I can push here and what I can get away with and you know, explore what this game has to offer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's also very valid for people like ourselves who hit that point and go, still can't do it. Still can't do it. Don't want to do it. I feel better avoiding that. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, one of the main reasons why evil playthroughs don't necessarily work for me isn't because those games fail, because as we discussed before, Baldur's Gate 3 does an incredibly good job at providing an evil option.
Yes.
I think because at the end of the day, I'm not looking for permission to be cruel. I think I'm looking for confirmation that being kind still matters, especially in the world that we live in now. To me, I like to see the values that I uphold in my day-to-day life reflected back to me in the media that I consume.
Yeah. That's beautiful, isn't it? That's so nice. Yeah. And I think similar for me. It's what I feel comfortable about. It's like who do I feel comfortable being? And we were talking about, you know, decisions we make that make us feel uncomfortable in games. And you know, sometimes that's really good art, and sometimes that's part of the storytelling, and you know, that's part of your journey. But for the most part, what I'm looking for in games when I play them is like, I want to do what I feel like is the right thing. Maybe in the moment that means being a little bit of a renegade. That feels like the right thing. But I think a lot of the time it's, I'm going to help this person. There's a random NPC who's down on their luck. Yeah, I'll try and help them. Yeah. Do I take the money here? Or I say like, you know, you keep the money to, you know, help out your daughter. And then I get that feedback and they're like, oh, thanks so much. Like, oh, you're such a great adventurer. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I am. Yeah. I think that's what I'm looking for. And I think that's why for me, I think being a paragon in games is what I love. But at the same time, without that renegade option there and without having that on the table, you lose that value of it.
100%.
So much. But
nice.
Yeah, and especially now knowing that if I act more like a paragon in games, it might make me a better person in real life. Yeah.
Very cool find.
I'm all for that.
Nice, mate. Well, any final thoughts before we wrap?
Well, get out there and be good.
I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. We'll be back again next week with more content about games. I think next week we're going to dive into an episode that you're really excited about, Amaranth. Well, actually, we're both pretty excited about. But we're going to talk couch co-op games.
Yeah.
Which is super exciting because that obviously is a huge part of our childhood, but also us becoming such good friends. But until then, jump on to our Instagram or TikTok pages. We're going to upload video highlights and all that sort of stuff. Follow us along there. We're going to set up either a mailing list or a Substack at some stage soon as well. So stay tuned. If we do that before this episode comes out, it'll be in the show notes. But otherwise, keep looking out for areas to join us in conversation, and thank you for your time. Boy.